So it is left to America to defeat these monsters. And we're doing a pretty good job of it. Al-Qaeda is isolated in Pakistan, and the Taliban gets pounded in every engagement. But the sacrifice for the U.S. military is immense. Back here in the USA, people like Michael Moore call the presence of American forces in Iraq evil. A dishonest media trumps up stories about returning soldiers killing people. Hollywood pinheads make movies disrespecting the armed forces. Enough is enough. So let's look out for the folks who are looking out for us, the military. Talking Points believes Congress will pass and President Bush will sign a new GI Bill. And we'll do everything we can to make that happen. And that is the national standpoint.
And it could be called simplistic, but frankly, if you're out in the field and you're dealing with these high-value detainees, and again, we're talking about
all three of those men gave up information that may have saved thousands of lives.
For all these years now, since 9/11. You've got a kit bag of techniques, starting from sitting down and having a chat with the suspect. And whatever's in that kit bag has been approved by the Attorney General, by the administration, by the director of the CIA. Those are allowed.
I'm making light of this. It's a serious issue, but I think the president has to have the authority. I wouldn't give the authority to field agents or to the military. The president, right. But the president of the United States, in extraordinary circumstances, as these three were, and the far left is putting us all in danger. Mr. Baker, thanks for coming in. We appreciate it. The villain, Joran Vandersloot, was secretly taped saying the 18-year-old American died in his presence, and her body was thrown into the ocean. Will the Aruban authorities finally charge this vile person? Joining us from Washington, Greta Van Susteren, host of On the Record.
Corrupt. I don't think we're not going to find justice for Natalie Holloway, and at least the description in the tape may not even be murder, provable murder. It sounds, there are a lot of different interpretations.
The guy obviously did something, and I believe the tape. I believe this guy, that she died in his presence. They threw a body in the ocean because they were using narcotics. They were doing all kinds of bad things to her.
But that might not be murder. I mean, we could talk about the morality of it, and we can go deep into that.
You charge him with something, and I hope you remember.
Well, no, I'll tell you why you don't. You charge him with something, and evidence comes up later, and you've already lost the first case. You can't do it again, so you got to wait till you have it.
All right. I hope you remember when this first broke, I told everybody not to go to Aruba. All right, and I've
been there 10, 15 times.
Thanks for staying with us. I'm Bill O'Reilly in the Weekdays with Bernie and Jane segment tonight. Two interesting situations. As you know, far-left websites like Media Matters consistently attack conservatives by taking their comments out of context. This vicious website delights in trying to cause racial incidents, and they've been doing this for years. Well, a few days ago, on an NBC News program, a commentator said that Bill Clinton was watching the Super Bowl with Governor Bill Richardson of New Mexico, who is Hispanic, and asked Richardson to pass the guacamole. Surprise, the left-wing media said nothing, even though La Raza and other Hispanic groups labeled the remark, quote, insensitive, offensive, and unfortunate, unquote. NBC News says it has no comment. Also, we asked Bernie and Jane to give us examples of unfair media election coverage. So here they are, Jane Hall in Washington and Bernie Goldberg in Miami. Okay, Bernie, I want two examples of unfair media election coverage.
I want to give you one big one, and I'll cede my time to Jane after that. Last week we talked about this slobbering love affair that the media has with Barack Obama. I want to do a part two with a good news update. First, the bad news. On MSNBC, Chris Matthews, who is a savvy political analyst, said this. I'm going to read his exact words. It's short. Let me tell you something about Barack Obama. If you're actually in the room when he gives one of those speeches and you don't cry, you're not American. You're not American if you don't cry when Barack Obama. This isn't political analysis. This is a man crush. Hardball, this is pansy ball. It's embarrassing. It's just embarrassing. Here's the good news. The fella from Time magazine, Joe Klein, who's a political reporter with liberal leanings, said this, one sentence. He wrote this. He said, the Obama campaign all too often is about how wonderful the Obama campaign is. Bingo. Finally, a journalist, a mainstream journalist with a big news organization like Time magazine is saying what all these other reporters haven't said. And I give him credit for it. So that's the good news update.
All right. So basically, we've known from the jump that NBC
a regional candidate. I mean, now that Romney is out, he made this remark of, yeah, it is a two-man race after Tuesday night. Now that Romney's out, he's going to get a kind of a wave of coverage. Is he going to be McCain's VP? But I think what he stands for has not really been explored. Why people support him beyond evangelicals. The guy really has not gotten coverage, and he keeps kind of coming back, and I think it's interesting.
Do you think it's the media? The media has ignored him and scorned him, either or, because he's a religious man? Look, any person of faith, as we saw with George W. Bush, gets mocked for being that. Well, I mean, that's simply, look, the media is secular. Many of them are atheists. They think that anybody who believes is an idiot. Well, and that if you believe, you can't possibly be smart enough to run the country. I think that's the genesis. Pardon the pun.
Is hypocrisy, no question about it. No question about it. But this is driving me nuts. Saying pass the guacamole.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I agree.
This is not a crime against humanity.
No,
it's not even a racial
slur. That's not even in play here. That's not even in play. We don't care about pass the guacamole. What we do care about is an essentially dishonest and corrupt media, Bernie, that uses innocuous remarks against one side and not against the other.
Yes, but how many times have you said on this program that one bad behavior doesn't merit another bad behavior? I'm glad there was hypocrisy in this case, because at least the media didn't make a big deal out of this idiotic issue.
Here's why you're wrong.
Who cares?
It's not about bad behavior. It's about corruption. And when you have the mainstream media looking to demonize one portion of American society, okay?
Criticize that part. Criticize that part.
Obviously, I do it every day. But this is a great example of how this corruption works.
It's hypocrisy.
To Paris Hilton. The actress traveled to Harvard to be mocked by the demented lampoon people there. This is an annual event.